All right, what is up, YouTube? We are back again with another episode with a closed garage and a whole bunch of brake cleaner. We're getting zooted out here. So I am making another video because, big surprise, the car is broke again. So I've been driving it around locally. I'm still waiting on plates, so I'm not doing anything too crazy. But I will try to hit boost, and I'll just have the car kind of fall on its face and go into limp mode. Spark plugs are new. They're good. It has these OEM. I've pulled the coil packs off. I'm getting ready to ship these to get them sent off to get rebuilt. I'm going to take this intake manifold off. I just put little screwdrivers in the ends to cap off the coolant pipes. Hopefully I can get them mostly out of the way without making too much of a mess. I'm in my enclosed garage. I've made a little bit of a mess earlier. And then I have the intercoolers sitting over here, and they are filled with coolant. It's probably a good time to flush through all this stuff anyways, because I doubt anybody's done it. Intercooler cores look good. Everything else looks good. I got a whole bunch of new silicone, and I got new fittings anyways for redoing a lot of the boost side of this engine. I tried to like, there's no easy way to pump out all of the fluid that's in there. Like, it has an electric pump. I pulled, this is the freaking return side. So I was like, oh, I'll just pull the return side, have the pump go, and it will draw it through. Well, what happens when you cap this, it creates a vacuum that it can't pull through all the way to the other side. So it just didn't work, unfortunately. Technically, like, since there's so many peaks and valleys and stuff, I don't really have to pull the fluid out of the bottom of the intercooler anyways. Like, the fluid looks fine. I just didn't want to get it all over the dang motor, and I've used enough brake clean in here to incapacitate most grown men. So I was like, I don't want this whole thing smelling like freaking coolant, and I'll slowly pull this intake manifold off in the next couple days, and hopefully we can get things situated enough to where as we can see what's going on the back. Also, I found, shirts off, you know, that's how it's serious. I found there was a little this AN fitting on this 3076 down here. This AN fitting was loose. And then I got this cool little scope. You know, I kept vouching for the mirror, but I'll tell you what, this scope sure does see a lot more. So I put it right here and show you Blair Witch style the backside of the moda. So I got all these fittings, and everything's wet because I've just been spraying coolant everywhere. But there's my AN lines, and all this nasty junk. So I'm gonna pull everything off and clean everything off, hopefully by making my garage floor a mess. Hopefully the cardboard boxes I have underneath here will catch most of it. But yeah, I'm gonna pull all that off. I'm gonna redo all the vacuum lines too. But I'm really hoping that it's not the freaking underneath the intake, the valley freaking pan. I'm really hoping it's not, because it really doesn't look that bad until, see, that looks pretty clean. Let's see if I can show it. This is like, oh, it looks like maybe these fittings are the culprit. Yeah, like that fitting right there, you can see gunk on the bottom of it. So I'm hoping that fitting is my culprit, and I just have to retighten them. Hopefully, but we're gonna pull everything apart. There's a bunch of questions back here. This is what happens when you buy somebody else's project. And I am diligent on fixing stuff. So I did figure out that you can lift the hood up to almost a 90-degree angle, which is pretty cool. I guess they knew that this thing was going to break, so they said, we'll help you out here. So this is really nice. Like I said, I'll slowly keep working on this thing. Right, little check-in. I've got most of the wiring harness off. So I noticed, I'm trying to pull off this fuel rail right now. If there's any luck, it's always bad luck, that this bracket that holds on pretty much just the fuel line, and then there was a little overflow tank that goes over here. Of course, this one is freaking stripped, so maybe I can get an extractor in there, but it is going to be a freaking dog, of course. And then beautiful German engineering, they decided to put these hex head bolts underneath the intake manifold, so you can only get to it with like one Allen key with a wrench on it. So this has been slow and tedious work, but it is what we have to do. I got to get to those fittings right underneath. Can I reach around? Yes. I don't feel like it. I want to pull that whole thing off and see how everything looks, because the pan that's right underneath it might be my issue. So slowly but surely making it through this. I'll have to get another bolt, but it is what it is. Somehow in my ultimate glory, I pulled the bolt out in one try. 3 payments. Genuine ostrich. One try. The secret is I used an easy out with a socket on it, big extension, big old burst in impact, one tap from the hammer, and it just said, I got you. You coming with me, brother. These freaking extractors are like $12 for a pack on Facebook or on Amazon. Go ahead and grab them. Go ahead. I'd be here for days. Just go ahead and grab them. All right, YouTube. So I have pulled off the intake manifold. It is loose, but I'm not going to pull it all the way off yet because I am waiting for the gasket. So there's no real point to possibly induce any more stuff falling into the engine, anything like that, until I get it in place. The current configuration on the back side of these motors is you've got the brake booster vacuum line, which I'm guessing has a check valve in it somewhere, and also you have one small nipple underneath that goes to the PCV stuff right over here. I am going to reroute all that stuff from that nipple over to like a valve block or something on this side over here. I'm still waiting for that vacuum block to come in, but we're gonna make this a little easier to work on. There's my fittings that I've been desperately trying to get to. This honestly has not been difficult. The worst part is just leaning over the car. My back is hating me right now, but other than that, not so bad. I don't think it's the coils, by the way. I shouldn't say that. It still is a pretty good chance it could be the coils. I'm gonna replace all these parts before I actually send out to get those coils replaced, because the only reason I'm saying that is these coils, the manufacture date, they've already been replaced before in the life of the vehicle. Granted, it was in 2012, I believe. Yeah, like 2012. But the only reason I say that is because from 2012 on to the last couple years, it's only been driven about 20,000 miles. So this car is definitely enigmatic, because it is so weird that somebody put all this money into it and then never drove it. Why? Most likely because it just never run to 100%. Oh, quit that. Most likely because it never ran 100%. But mark these for intake manifold. I'll have to get another. One of these almost stripped out on the way out. And then I have to get a new one of those. So I got some more stuff to order. What else do I have to order? I should just pull this off to check it out. I'm nervous. Whoa. So here's our vacuum box. I wonder if it leaks. There's the dreaded bottom tray. I guess there's no real telling on how to see whether or not this thing's leaking. This thing does look pretty grody down here. Let me grab my flashlight. All right, let's look at these. We'll get a little bit of funk in there. Stuff is falling. We'll blow everything out. Yeah, a little dust in that one. Dust in that one. Oh, those valves are open. And those valves are open. I don't love that. Well, I will try to clean this up as much as possible. See if I can clean all this junk out. There's my fittings. I do believe these are leaking some, but there's no telling how this looks. All right, let me start cleaning up. This is day 1 billion of waiting for parts. I am currently waiting for intake manifold gaskets and throttle body gaskets. I found yesterday that the boost controller was only twisted together and just put electrical tape on, so maybe that's why it was having high boost issues. It's because this thing was just turning on and off. I did add a vacuum block. I thought this was a lot cleaner than the previous hodgepodge of connectors, and I got rid of a lot of the OEM plastic hard lines, which probably leaked quite a bit. There's really nothing holding these things on together. So yeah, I replaced a lot of the lines, so if there's any boost leaks, I don't believe it now, which I guess can contribute to misfire issues. I haven't decided to send out the coil packs yet, because I found out that the manufacture date on them, they've only had 20,000 miles since they were purchased via the Carfax. So it's been a couple of years, but really not that much mileage. So I was like, let me just button all this stuff up first before I get to that. I've been doing a lot of 3D printing stuff. I'm gonna get these orders sent out here pretty soon. Hopefully a bunch of small stuff. I think hopefully I found the leak that was occurring behind the intake manifold, and this Fragola 4AN fitting, I mean, you can literally see the gunk coming out of it. I'm really hoping this was my leak, and maybe it wasn't. I don't even know. I'm gonna replace these anyways. They kind of did some goofy stuff. So here's the feed line, which will go back onto moda. Well, those look alright. I think I've already brought this up, but this had a little schmutz on it. And then this goes to a T, which diverts off using a half a dozen lines. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off, and I have a Y instead of a T. The Y should promote a little better flow, probably a little more equally than a T would. And then I'm gonna do all new fittings just to mitigate that as my cause. But it's just a whole bunch of hurry up and wait orders. So here's the OEM Mercedes gasket. Measure it. Let's measure it. So here's the OEM Mercedes gasket. It is 0.18. Let's do 4.6 millimeters. The Victor Reigns is 3.27 millimeters. Obviously that makes a bit of a difference on sealing. 7.38 millimeters at the outside, at the very bottom. 7.16. So not that much difference. But this one, like I said, it just would not stay, like it wouldn't stay in here. That's why I put the RTV on the top of it. So let's try this again. All right, we are back at it. I have been waiting all dang week on freaking parts. So, skipped ahead a little bit. I ended up getting, let's see, Vibrant Performance Y fittings. I cleaned out all underneath the intake valley, put new intake manifold gaskets. Got this bad boy on there. I will say, Mercedes, you know, you freaking billion-dollar company, terrible design choice on deciding these hold the. Are you coming to help? Hey, sit, shake. Thank you. These come with a terrible design. So you have these little rubber grommets that go, they connect to the voltage regulator for the intake, or not the intake, the ignition coils. And it's like an essential part. Like there's a whole bracket that goes here. It's this bracket right here. Pretty visible and key spot. These little freaking bushings go bad and they fall apart. I had all four of them just pop off. So I put some glue on there, but they're old. You can't replace them. You got to replace the entire intake manifold at the same time. And it's like, I feel like this is probably like a bad, I mean, maybe Mercedes never thought that their vehicles would last 20 years, but here we are. So, yeah, I got the intake manifold back on. I'm going to start tightening stuff down. I'm still kind of tempted on sending out the injectors to get cleaned, but they want freaking $300 to clean them. So I'm just like, I don't really care that much, because like, so spend $300 to clean them, or I can buy 12 new ones, D-Schwerk 750cc injectors for like $800. So I think I'm just going to run them as is. I do feel like the vehicle is not negatively impacted by the injectors that are on it. I don't think I have an injector issue. I just wanted to get them flow matched and tested to make sure that the CCs that they state they are the CCs that are going through them. But I'm going to put this intake manifold back on, then start putting this thing slowly back together. Change the oil. What else? I'm still waiting on the throttle body gasket. I'm still waiting on, I think that's it. But yeah, let's throw some more stuff back together. Oh, and I accidentally bought wheels. I've kind of brought it up before, but I'm not a huge fan of these. I should have just waited on bidding for car parts, but I offered this guy the AMG Commodore, or however you say it. I offered this guy 50% less than the going rate because the wheels needed like some of the clear coats kind of marred up, and they just needed some work. So I offered him 50% of what they're worth, and he accepted it. So I will at some point have some new wheels for this thing. I think later next week. And also, what else? I haven't sent the coils off yet. I'm gonna put everything back together and see how it runs as is, because I looked at the manufacture date of the coils, and they are not the OEM coils. They are OEM coils, but they're made in essentially 2012. So from 2012 via the Carfax to now, it's only been like 25,000 miles. So maybe I was having another issue that was contributing to my misfire. So I'm waiting to replace these. I still have the voltage transformer that I'd have to, that one's from 2005, and that could contribute to voltage issues. So maybe that's it, but like I said, I'm not 100% sure. I'm just gonna put everything back together and then go back from there, because you want to eliminate as many variables as possible. So let's put this back together, and then I will come back in a second. All right, so I have a majority of the motor together. Intake manifold's back on. I still gotta put the intercoolers back on. I went to go put on this PCV blah 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 hose, and of course all that old plastic just broke into pieces. So it looks like I'm replacing all that with just some flexible stuff, which probably has a lower propensity to break. So almost back together. I'm still waiting on some heat shield stuff. I'm gonna wrap all the headers and downpipes and stuff before I put everything 100% back together, and then hopefully we can fire up in the next week. So I decided to get some heat shield products, like exhaust covering. Friggin', it's not really considered heat wrap, it's like bendable heat shield, but this stuff is supposed to be good to 2200 degrees Fahrenheit. And I would love to put some blankets on these turbos, but I just don't know if I can fit a turbo blanket on there. So what I'm going to do is see if I can just wrap most of the exhaust under here and leave the turbo hot sides for now, and see how it goes. But these turbos are kind of weird shaped. So they're tile V-band hot sides, but they're internally wastegated. Like, I've never seen them before, because usually the tile V-band hot side is only it's external wastegate only. So I was like, I don't know if the internal or the external wastegate ones would fit. So yeah, I'm just gonna wrap this stuff and see how it works, and hopefully it doesn't set on fire. That's always my biggest fear with heat shielding, but it looks really good. It's got a couple crinkles in there, but it's very formable. It's easy to cut. It looks like looks like factory stuff, which I really like. So we'll slowly put this together, and I'll tune back in a little bit. All right, we have everything together. I'm going to do one more pass through. I'm going to change the oil real quick, even though I just did the oil, but I have, oh, there's a spider. Get out of here. Replaced all the clamps with high torque clamps. This thing should not have any boost leaks. The only thing I've realized, which I kind of hate, is I might get some 90s welded on here, because obviously this thing is struggling with that vacuum block there. So I don't really love it. I wish there was a better way that I could route this, but man, I'll tell you what, this thing is cramped, super cramped. So it is unfortunate. Hopefully it doesn't leak or pop. The system isn't like pressurized, like it doesn't hold pressure like a coolant system, so really it's just fluid running through. It doesn't get hot enough to boil or anything like that to really build pressure, but we'll see if I can button any more stuff up and then start. It's gonna take me a second because I disconnected the battery to do all that work, and then the trunk locked. So to get into the trunk on these things is a bear, and the key doesn't work like traditionally. So I'll have to pull that back panel off and jimmy some stuff in there to get able to get to the trunk. So let's start putting stuff back together. All right, everything is back together. Before I turn it on though, I gotta figure out, so I made a relay for the methanol pump, and I thought this was the power for the methanol pump previously, but the methanol pump is still getting power, and it is supposedly not getting power. So I've got to chase all these wires. Still a little bit of a cluster on the side underneath, so I'm going to use my trusty multimeter and trace these out, and then hopefully I can figure out where that thing's getting power from. All right, we're gonna start things up. So I'm just gonna put this right here and see how it goes. Got my fire and everything ready. Sounds like shit. Why does it sound like shit? Put the old Scantron on it. See what it says. Sounds like that's half the cylinders. So I got everything back together. Sounds good. I was having a misfire issue on 2 cylinders, and I did literally nothing except for pull it out of the garage, and then it decided to start working. So not 100% sure. Still have the SRS light on, but it's running good. I'll drive it around the neighborhood here in a little bit. I gotta mow the lawn first, but sounds good, nice and quiet. See how it does under boost. These header wraps make a huge difference. Usually, I mean, I've had it running like maybe 10 minutes, and I could still put my hand on the engine bay, and that wasn't possible before. This whole thing would be like crazy hot. But it seems like things are going well. There's a little noise up here that kind of sounds like a hiss, but I'm not 100% sure what it is or where it is. But I'm reading good vacuum. As you can see. And I'm going to keep this thing on low boost in comparison to what it was before, so we're looking for longevity.